Alright, so welcome back to another one of my video demonstrations. For this particular demonstration, I want to look at how we can install WordPress locally on our personal device. WordPress being a very popular content management system is a very handy tool for persons who want to develop a website. If you are not necessarily the most technical person, right? Once you get a hang of how to install WordPress and manipulate the content from the WordPress dashboard, then you are good to go. There's no need to really write any scripts, any code, or any HTML. All right. So once you have WordPress installed, then you are good to go. Now, the popularity of WordPress stems from the fact that, as I said, you don't need to be necessarily the most technical person. So if you want to build out an e-commerce website or you just want to build out a personal website, then WordPress might be an option for you. Now, for this demo, I want to cover how to perform the WordPress local installation. I will use the XAMPP development environment to run Apache server on localhost. And for those who don't know, XAMPP is a completely free and easy to install Apache distribution, which contains a database aspect as well. Right? Now, the question you might ask, or some persons might ask, is why install WordPress on localhost? So, what you get with a localhost WordPress website, it allows developers and designers to test different features before running the WordPress website on a live web server or even before implementing some of the features on their live website. Right, so that's one of the benefits. You get to use it as a testing platform when you do so on localhost. So you don't want to have WordPress running on your live web server, and then that's the time when you try to figure out some bugs or make some fixes, right? So you can use your local host, your local machine, as a kind of testing platform, right? Also, the local host approach is beneficial for those who want to learn about web development. So this might be your first time developing a website and you decide to use WordPress because you don't necessarily need to write any HTML, any Java, you don't need to write any JavaScript, any CSS, or any PHP, anything like that, right? So it's good for those persons who want to get a taste of web development. So you can create a copy as well of a live website on your computer and experiment with it without having to buy a hosting plan or purchasing a domain. You can do everything from your personal device. So there are some easy steps that I will walk you through in terms of how to install WordPress and get it up and running. Again, we are doing so on localhost. Um, I think I will do a follow-up where I actually install WordPress on my web server, my live web server. But for now, I am focusing on just showing persons or showing you how to install WordPress on localhost so you can play around with it and sort of get a little bit more familiar with WordPress and how WordPress work. So this video is mainly for those persons who are totally new to web development or it's your first time interacting, or this will be your first time interacting with WordPress, right? So we will go through a series of steps to take us up to the point where we actually have our website up and running. So first, I will talk to you about how to download XAMPP, how to install and run XAMPP on your computer. I will also show you how to download WordPress. We will be creating a database to facilitate us installing WordPress. we will finally install WordPress, and then we will just look at what we have once WordPress is installed. Right? So let me start off by first showing you or talking to you about how to download XAMPP. Alright, so all you need to do is bring up your web browser and just type in Apache Friends, or you can type in XAMPP download, whichever one of those options will work. I have a previous video where I did a walkthrough in terms of how to download and install XAMPP. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I will link that video to this one so you can use that as sort of a reference, right? So I'm just going to click on the link here that says download. Now, whether you are using a Windows device, a Mac, or a Linux device, there is a version of XAMPP for you. Right, so you can go ahead and download the one that corresponds to your particular operating system. Now, I'm a Windows user, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab this version of it, right? So once the download process has been completed, you will just run the XAMPP installer and follow the instructions. And as I said, I will link the video that I did that shows you how to install XAMPP. Now, after installing XAMPP, you want to open your XAMPP control panel. So I'm going to bring up my XAMPP control panel. All right, so this is my XAMPP control panel. You want to ensure that you have Apache running, and you also want to ensure that you have the MySQL module here running, right? So once that is done, we can proceed to the next step. So the next thing we want to do now is to download WordPress. So again, just go to your browser, type WordPress download, and the link right here is the one that we're going to click on. So this is from the WordPress website. All right, so I'm just going to click on this link and scroll down. You're going to see download WordPress. We're just going to click on this option and download WordPress. Now, once the download has been completed, we will get a zip folder or some zip files. We will need to extract those zip files. So I'm going to download WordPress now, and then I'll walk you through the extracting of the zip files and what we should do after extracting the zip files. All right, so this is my downloaded WordPress zip file. Now I'm going to extract the files, and once I extract the files, I'm going to place them in my XAMPP folder in another folder within that is called HT docs. Now for the server, for my local server to serve up those files, or for me to view them in my browser, they must be placed in the HT docs folder. Right, so I'm going to extract this now, and then I'll walk you through the rest of it. All right, so we'll give this some time to finish extracting. All right, so I'm waiting on the extraction to be completed. All right, so now that the extraction process has been completed, I am going to grab this extracted folder, and all the files that we need are within this folder. So I'm going to grab this extracted folder. I'm just going to copy it. and I'm going to navigate to my C drive, my XAMPP folder, and my htdocs folder. And I'm going to place my WordPress files inside my htdocs folder. Now, for convenience reasons, I'm going to rename my WordPress folder. So I'm going to give this the name that I want to use for my website. All right, so I'm going to call it Williams Tech JA, and that would be a little bit easier for me to remember as well. All right, so that part of it has been completed. So the next thing we need to do now is to create a local database that we're going to be using to complete the installation process, or at least assist with the installation process of our WordPress website. All right, so what I'm going to do is come back to my XAMPP control panel, and for easy access of the location where I'm going to be creating my website, or where I'm going to be creating the database for the website, I'm going to click on the admin button next to the MySQL module. Now, this will bring up PHP MyAdmin, which is an administration tool that is used for managing MySQL and MariaDB databases. So we'll be creating a database within this PHP MyAdmin platform. So PHP MyAdmin is basically what you refer to as a database management system, where you can create databases and manage the databases there. So I'm just going to click on the admin button, and this will bring up PHP MyAdmin in our browser. All right, so this is PHP MyAdmin. I'm going to go ahead and create a database. So what I'll do is I'll just click on the databases tab here, and I am going to give my database a name. Let's call it will take DB. All right, and I'm going to change the encoding option here to correlation. All right, and then I'm just going to click on create, and that will create the database for us. Once the database has been created, it's now time for us to install WordPress on localhost. And we're going to be basically in this step finishing up the installation of WordPress on our localhost. So what I'll do is I'll open another tab in the browser, and I'm going to type localhost / the name of our folder. So if you can recall, I named my folder Williams Tech JA. So that's the name that I'm going to be placing here after the slash. I'm just going to hit the enter key on my keyboard, and that should take me to the next phase of our installation process. Now we are presented with an option here to select our language. I'm going to leave it at English, and I'm just going to scroll down and click on continue. Now there are a few things that we'll need to enter. So we'll need to enter the name of the database. We'll need to enter our username as it relates to the database username. We'll need to enter the database password, database host, and also a table prefix. Now the database name is the name of the database that I created here, which is the WillTechDB. The database username, because we are running this on localhost, the username will be root, R-O-O-T. The password will be left blank. The database host will be localhost because we are running this on our local device or our personal device. And for the table prefix, we will use WP underscore as our table prefix. I'm just going to click on the Let's Go button here. All right, so for the database name, I'm going to type WillTechDB, which corresponds to this database that we would have created here. For the username, this will be root, and for the password, we're going to leave that blank. For the database host, we're going to leave it as localhost because, as I said, we are running the installation of WordPress on localhost. And the table prefix, we will leave that as WP underscore, and then I will submit this information. Now it says that you have made it through this part of the installation, and WordPress can now communicate with your database. All right, so everything is looking good so far. I'm going to now go ahead and just run the installation. All right, so that is great. Now, for this part of the installation process, you can give your website a title. I'm going to give mine this title, 876 Williams Tech JA. For the username, I'm going to use jwill, and I'm going to leave the password that they suggested here. Let me just copy this just in case I'll need it in the future. Well, I'll need it in the future. So it says right here that you will need this password to log in. So we need to remember that password. For my email, I'm going to use one of my Gmail accounts. And this checkbox option is saying that you can check to discourage search engines from indexing this site. So generally, for persons who don't know, your search engine, what they do is they deploy web crawlers to go through your website and index different content about your website to assist with search engine optimization. So you don't have to check this. You can leave it unchecked, or you can check it if you want. It's up to you. Finally, I'm going to click on Install WordPress. All right, and once we're here, we can just go ahead and log in. All right, looks like it. So I'm going to log in, and this will now take us to the dashboard where we can pretty much choose which WordPress template we want to use. We can add plugins and so forth. So the first thing I'm going to do while I'm at the dashboard here is go to Appearance and select a theme. Now you can decide on which theme you want to go with. You can add a new theme as well. There are three basic themes here. Right. I'm going to go with this one. All right, so once you select a theme as well, you can select the editor option. What you can do as well, you can add plugins to your website. So if you click on the plugins option, you'll see different plugins that you can include in your website. Now, if you're following my mouse and following the cursor, you will see where it says install plugins, and you'll see where it says add new plugins. So we can click on add new plugins just to see what is there. Now you can search for different plugins. So let's say, for example, you were creating an e-commerce website and you want to add a plugin that will allow you to accept maybe like payments or so forth, right? So let's search for e-commerce and see the different e-commerce plugins that are there. So we are seeing WooCommerce, which is a very popular e-commerce plugin, and there are other plugins here that are e-commerce related, WooCommerce, PayPal payments, and so forth. Now, maybe in another video, I will do a quick walkthrough in terms of how we can add these plugins to our WordPress website. But the main purpose of this demo is, is to show you how to install WordPress, and specifically how to install WordPress via localhost so you can practice setting up your WordPress websites. Now, I'm just going to go back to appearance. I'm going to go to editor, and this will bring up the website in editor mode. Now, for persons who might not be as technical and you don't want to write any HTML, you don't want to write any PHP, you don't want to write any C sharp, you don't want to write any CSS, then WordPress is a good option for you. Now you can change the content on your WordPress website without doing much. Here I can simply type over this and say my first WordPress website. As easy as that, and then we just save the changes. Right? So if you're not as technical as I said, WordPress is a good option when it comes on to building a website. Now here it says sample page, and there's an option here where I can add another block where you see the plus icon, and we can decide what to add. I'm not going to add anything to it now. I just wanted to show you that. All right. I double click on where it says sample page, and I'm getting an option here as well to add additional links or additional tabs. So we can add as many tabs as we want. We could change the text for this one to maybe say about us. So we could change this to say about us. So it should be our about us link. Alright, so I'll click on it and I'll click on edit, and it says detach, so I can now go ahead and edit this particular option here or this particular link. So I'm going to make this my about us link, and I can also go ahead and edit this other link here and possibly say services. And we could probably, for this one, we could probably go ahead and say contact us. And then finally, let's do one here for login. Alright, and as easy as that, we would have created our navigational tabs. Now I'm just going to go ahead again and save this. Alright, so the navigation tab would have been saved. Now there's an option here that you can use to view your website outside of the editor mode. There's a settings option here as well that you can use to see the different, or to manipulate the different highlighted parts. So the nav navigational part here is highlighted, and we can set links to where we want these to take us, right? So as I said, maybe in another video, I will do a more detailed walkthrough in terms of some things that we can do with WordPress, or some more advanced things that we can do with WordPress. But for now, that is it. We can click on the view option here, where we can click on the option here, and we're now viewing it in editor mode. We can view it in tablet mode, or we can view in mobile mode. And as you can see, it is mobile responsive, right? And then we can click to view the website outside of editor mode. So this is our little website that we would have created using WordPress in 5 to 6 easy steps, right? So hopefully this would have been helpful to you. And as I said, if you are not as technical, it is not that difficult to learn WordPress and use it to build out your websites. Now, for you to get good at it, it will take some time to get used to the dashboard and so forth. But you can start at this point, use this video as sort of motivation to push you to do some more as it relates to WordPress, and you might never know, right? So if this video was helpful, definitely please share the video as well with persons who you think might benefit. And if for whatever reason, you are viewing and you're not subscribed, then please feel free to subscribe. Right? Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day and have fun with this one.